Good morning. To welcome you to our 8th version of Bar Talk, and know that if you have any questions during this presentation or chat that you want to share so that we can share it with our participants today, please either email or send a chat message. So for as far as updates, we do have no update on the notarization issue. Although I was expecting to get one before 11 today, we don't have one yet. If we get one, we'll forward that out to membership as soon as possible, because I know it's getting to be a real hot button remote notarization. The Secretary of State has sent a message out stating that, if you could go ahead to the second slide, Angela, stating that it's not going to push out or extend the filing deadlines for annual reports. As you know, annual reports are essentially due, bear with me, it sounds like we might have some information coming in from Jim Cohen, but we'll just give Jim Cohen a chance to say something about the Portland Chamber of Commerce meeting this morning when we have a moment. So for those of you that are involved in doing annual report filings for Secretary of State or for your clients, you can see that we're still on schedule. No extensions of the June 1st deadline. Let's see, what else? Can we have a regular agenda, Angela? So there was also a question that came to us regarding guardianships and or conservatorships in probate courts. And you'll see that we've posted a few probate court orders that have come to us. And I know the one out of Androscoggin County specifically said they're suspending court-appointed visitors from servicing or serving petitions for conservatorship and guardianship. They also do a report that the judge can rely on. We have not heard how probate judges are necessarily going forward without those visitor reports, but we will work on trying to get some probate judge input on that and get back to you with that information as soon as we can. As far as business side updates, again, communicate as much as you can with your clients and your colleagues. And Angela, switching over to what we might have for business side of things that we've gathered for information.
Sure. So that already covered the probate question that I had from Mr. Edgar, and we will look into that further. I've got someone reaching out to the probate courts to get any types of orders that are coming out of those courts posted on our website. We had another question that came in. We do not have an answer yet, but we have passed it up the chain. It was a question specifically about PMO SJC1 in the section case type cancellations and postponements, and it notes that an extension of these limitations beyond May 1st is likely but has not yet been ordered. And so the question is, had we heard anything, or had we heard when a decision would be announced? So we have sent that up to the courts to ask that question. We have not received an answer yet, but as soon as we do, we will get that information out. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Angela. So another bit of information I wanted to share with you as far as our business goes is there was a letter that was shared with us and pretty much the criminal defense bar regarding intoxilizer testing, not having proper calibration certification at the Cumberland County jail site. So for those of you that are involved with criminal matters, there are times where defendants or those that are detained or arrested for OUI outside of jurisdictions that have their own police. They're brought commonly to the Cumberland County Jail, where they're actually given an intoxilizer test there. So I believe we've posted the letter to our site for sharing, and it essentially says that between June of 2019 to February of 2020, there have been calibration issues with the intoxilizer test, which can help a defense attorney with their defense of a client's positive test. So wanted to share that with you. And as far as, oh yeah, and then I did hear back from Jim, are you online?
I am. Good morning. I'm happy to chime in on the subject of the notary issue, if now's a good time, or I can wait till whenever is a good time.
Now's a great time, Jim.
Perfect. First of all, hello, everyone. I've had the opportunity to work with Thad and others in the Board of Governors on the issue of whether or not the state of Maine might issue an emergency order allowing essentially for virtual notarizations, and whether it's the probate community or the real estate community or others, that becomes an important aspect. We want to maintain social distancing as well as allow commerce to go forward. So this morning, I was moderating Eggs and Issues for the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce, and our guests included Dr. Shaw and Commissioner Heather Johnson from the Department of Economic and Community Development. So she was on hand to answer questions of that nature for the administration. So I did ask whether there was information on the status of that type of an emergency order. She said she anticipated that in the next day or so we might get a response. She didn't say for sure whether it would or wouldn't be issued, but essentially they were viewing it as a balance between the need to keep people safe in terms of not having in-person notarizations, and on the flip side, being careful about allowing for virtual activities on documents where other protections were necessary. So they were still working through those issues.
Jim, thank you very much. I appreciate that update and appreciate your work with the Portland Chamber of Commerce.
You're welcome. That explains why I'm dressed in a suit this morning, not my usual attire in my living room.
All right. So I wanted to just transition then to the personal side updates. And if there are stories that you have to share about how you're staying healthy and strong as a member of the bar so that you can serve your clients, please share those stories with us. So as far as addressing my gratitude and what I'm thankful for, I've been sharing with you daily what those are. And last night, essentially, I noted that I'm thankful for our judicial branch employees, and that includes both judges and clerks. They are doing what they can to keep our cases moving. I know that I have had interaction with a number of clerks and even a judge there, I think it was yesterday, on handling a management conference. So I also understand that judges are in conference every day of the week, including Saturdays and Sundays. I'm not exactly sure for what reasons and what they're attending to, but I'm sure it's important stuff. I'm also told that the administrators of the court are in conference every single day of the week. So they are working hard to do their jobs, and we hope to hear more from them about what it is that they're doing it for. Is Julie online from
Yeah.
the?
Yes, I'm here, Thad.
Hi, Julie. I appreciate you being online, and you work with Amy Quinlan, right?
I do.
In the communications office.
Yes, communications and legislative. And I did want to thank you so much for those kind words about judicial branch staff. And I will absolutely be communicating those to others at the branch, and they will really appreciate hearing that. As you mentioned, judges and clerks and other courthouse staff, marshals are continuing to go to work during this difficult time. And as you also mentioned, the judges and the senior staff are working 7 days a week. As you all know, this situation changes daily. And so things come up. And some of the things I'm sure they're talking about now are one of the issues you mentioned earlier about the May 1st deadline and how that may be extended. I'm sure there are discussions that are ongoing about whether to do that, and if so, to what date, and how that will affect caseloads everywhere. And so it's, as you know, it's a moving target. And I think that's why it requires such a constant conversation and discussion and thoughtful exercises on how best to move forward and to serve the public, while at the same time being mindful of judicial branch staff and their health and safety.
And thank you, Julie. Is everyone in the judiciary staying healthy?
Yes, as far as I know, we have no cases reported, which is a wonderful thing.
That's excellent. Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. And along the lines of staying healthy, I just want to remind everyone to sleep, exercise, eat right, and hydrate. Work on your relationships and work on your work tempo. One of the things that I'm told from experts in the reading that I've done, that staying on a regular schedule, going to bed at night, waking up in the morning when you should, and exercising and starting your day at an appropriate time and finishing at an appropriate time will keep us all healthier. Are there any questions right now that anyone would like to share? We have just a couple minutes, and we can go from there.
Could I ask a question? This is Rebecca Smith. Good morning.
Good morning, Rebecca. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay, go ahead.
I just learned about these calls, so I'm happy to dial in this morning. My question is, a lot of my work is as a neutral for state agencies, and each agency is starting to try to figure out how we can effectuate virtual hearings if need be. And I'm just wondering if there are any resources around that, because each of those agencies is really scrambling to figure it out on their own at this point.
And virtual hearings. Are you talking about the judiciary being involved in virtual hearings?
Well, no, these are administrative hearings. So licensing board hearings, Maine State Housing Authority, Department of Ed, sort of I work for each of those, and they're each kind of individually trying to figure out if they can move forward with some hearings or not. And so I'm just trying to figure out, as a resource for them, as a contracted hearing officer, any information I can gather on how we can do that.
Well, that's a good question, and I'd like to take that back to our question and answer process. We're going to have to look that up. I know that the Bureau of Motor Vehicles issued some statement about how they're going forward regarding hearings related to licenses, and I thought they were just putting it all on hold, but I haven't heard anything since about going to virtual hearings, and that certainly might depend on the next emergency order that comes from the governor's office. But we will communicate with the governor's office and communicate with other contacts that we have and our liaisons about that. Thank you, Rebecca.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone online have any response to what Rebecca had asked? All right, because I'm not sure.
Sorry, Thad, I was trying to,
Oh.
this is Jim Cohen. I was trying to unmute my mic. I've now successfully done so, but
Go ahead.
Rebecca and others, I actually had an experience just under a week ago. The Maine Board of Pharmacy conducted what at least is believed to be the first online hearing of the Board of Pharmacy, at least within that department. I'm sure there have been some other online hearings. I would just say that from my personal experience as a participant in that meeting, I thought it was effective. The platform that was used was Zoom, and the control was maintained by board staff. So only the board itself was visible on the screen. Anyone else would either be visible and unmiked only if allowed by the administrator, and participants used the raise hand function. So I thought it worked well. I know there have been reports about Zoom bombing and so forth that requires delicacy in terms of how members of the public might access a hearing, limiting that kind of behavior. But if those security protocols can be achieved, I thought that was a good model for how those kinds of hearings can progress.
Great. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Jim.
I had heard they went forward with the meeting, and so the next question is, can we do full-on hearings? But that's great to know that it worked well as a participant.
Great. So I think we're out of time, guys. We want to give time for people who want to view the CDC briefing that had already started, I guess. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Have a good day.